Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 199. Iliya here. As always, you know what we're going to be doing in this video, having a look at the markets, how it developed this week, what kind of opportunities we had, and most importantly, what we can expect for the upcoming week. Now, this week was a little bit sloppy for me, so I didn't trade on Monday and Tuesday because I was traveling. Then on Wednesday, as I got back home, I do believe I took a little loss then I took a very nice win on GU. On Thursday it should be, and then on Friday I took a loss on GU. No trades for me on EU this week, unfortunately. It didn't really provide any clear entries, so still finishing profitable, but again, nothing huge, nothing massive. So of course, being consistent is the go right here. So of course, we're gonna look at everything. I'm gonna show you what I did, my performance overall, and of course what my expectations are for the upcoming week, which is pretty much the last week of June. We are already halfway through the year. Personally, the main thing that I was focused on this year was my graduation thesis, reports, and all that stuff. So next week I'm gonna be traveling to defend my thesis back in the Netherlands, and then from there I'm gonna be going in Italy to visit my family. So I'm gonna be traveling this week pretty much, and then from next week on July, then I'm really gonna start focusing a little bit more. So of course, without further ado, make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notification bell in order not to miss all the amazing content that is going to be incoming July, August, September, throughout the year. And if you already did, let's get into the video. As always, we're gonna get started with a Dixie. Before we do that, of course, make sure to check your economic calendar. Now, for next week, we don't have something very important. Like you can see on Monday, we don't have any major news. We don't have any bank holidays this week. Durable goods orders, non-defense capital good orders, consumer price index for CAT. So if we're trading the CAT, we have CPI for the CAT. Bank stress test info. It's very interesting news release. Retail sales, GDP for the US. So that's important. GDP for the pound. Retail sales Germany, and CPI actually for the euro on Friday. So there are of course some news, but nothing that is like heavily important. This is like harmonized index of consumer prices and core harmonized index of consumer prices, not really like consumer price index, but of course that is also very important. And I do believe for the euro that is actually the CPI, right? Harmonized index CP. Well, I don't know, but of course, be aware of all of those news. Now, if we have a look on the weekly time frame on the DXY, you can see that we, again, as I said, we didn't have an amazing week. Like Monday was a bank holiday, Tuesday picked up some direction, but then of course we really failed to push somewhere. So again, in terms of the weekly time frame, once again, like we have that little sweep right there. That definitely looks like a sweep, but we can see that the market is so far reacting from this supply. So the main question is, right, are we going to be going on to take out this low, or are we going to be going on to take out that low, right? Because the market like pulls back right now, tries to push for 3 weeks already, little pullback. So what is it doing? What is it not doing? I don't know, right? It's being stuck in the middle. Like if we just take a FIB, like on the regular FIB 50%, you can see like we're pulling back towards, again, back into premium to maybe then short. But yeah, still rather unclear when it comes to the weekly time frame. Again, I had more of a bearish bias in the previous weeks, but right now looking at how it's actually failing to go down, and also seeing like, for example, the euro, the Aussie, everything is going up. So of course Dixie should be falling down, but it's kind of lingering behind. So is it waiting for something? Well, I don't know. Maybe you guys can shed some insights on that. But again, you can see on the daily, we pulled back right here. We technically aligned bearish on the daily right here. And then of course you can draw like a little daily supply. The market pushed and actually pulled back. It came in, took out that low right there. And then you can see like on Thursday and Friday, we had a very nice kind of a buy right there, a very nice push into the upside. What I see also is that potentially the market is responding from this little imbalance right there that it came to tap, and right now it's going to be seeking like the opposite side. So it's either going to be going like for this zone right there. I see that there is no really imbalance within this whole leg, so it could be actually seeking some sort of liquidity, right? Thinking in terms of liquidity, it's either going to come in to fill in some imbalance, or it's either going to come in to take out a high or a low. Okay, so is it possible we just come in to take like a high like this, or is it possible we come in to take all that major high right there? Again, a little bit hard to break down from now, right? But of course, let's see how Monday is gonna open and what we can do about it. So then, of course, jumping on the forward time frame, you can see that again, like Friday ended very choppy, and then again you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And then we started rolling. I think Wednesday we had Powell's speech or something like this. We really nicely rolled to the downside, actually causing that 4-hourly structure break. Okay, and then here we didn't really have a valid lower high, but then you can see the market just went on and created a reversal. So technically right now what we have on the 4-hourly time frame is this range. We have this low, we have this high, we can expect for the market to pull back and to potentially continue going higher. So you can see like daily and 4-hourly time frame, they are in a little bit of a conflict, but just also considering on the daily, I do believe we're gonna seek something on the highs to take liquidity in order to go down, right? But of course, where is it gonna go? We don't know. So first of all, we have this zone right there. We have some structural liquidity within that zone, right? But as the market impulsed heavily right now, and I mean, look at the momentum. This is not a weak move. That's a big move. Okay, so personally, again, I will be looking for a 50% tap, right? What is there just under the 50%? We have like this little slowdown, which is kind of a base demand, but what we also have is that little imbalance right there. We have one here as well, but what I preferably want to see is for the market to tap 50%, tap into that imbalance, and then for example align on the 50-minute and give us a long trade, driving it into that daily supply. So Dixie for now saying a long bias, right? But that does not mean that the macro is long. I just think that currently on the 4H, like more of the, yeah, not that the 4H is not macro, but like when I look at macro right now, and when I really consider like the daily, well, this to me is like where really the market could potentially seek, because it usually really loves to move with the daily liquidity areas. And then of course I work mainly with the 4H. So the 4H right now is bullish, driving into daily liquidity potential into the highs. So let's see how this one is going to play out, and let's see if the other pairs are supporting a long DXY. So what we're going to be looking on the other pairs is for them to be bearish. Let's have a look at EU. So still kind of a little bit hard to break it down on the weekly time frame, but overall we had this break, we have this demand zone right there. The market came back inside, right, chopped for 2 weeks, and then we have been impulsing into the highs. So pretty much as I said, well, technically our target should be that weekly high. Okay, what I also see on the left is that we have like this supply zone. The market reacted from it. So there are probably not a lot of sellers left inside the supply. So I do believe it could also break. So that could be another like long-term target. Okay, so I'm having that overall bullish vibe on EU. But again, let's have a look at what is happening right now. So again, if you remember, like since we aligned bearish on the daily right there, this level, this level, this level, all of them got taken all the way down towards this little gap right there. Then the market aligned bullish on the daily, and since then we have been bullish, again fulfilling first target, second target, and this week it fulfilled my third target just on Thursday, and then it just massively sold off, and this was expected. Okay, so after sweeping this liquidity, achieving this liquidity target, right now the market will be looking to again pull back and rebalance something, like pull back towards premium and discount. You can see, however, on the daily right there, we kind of had definitely a valid daily higher low. We pushed up, and right now we have a break on the daily. So again, my question is right now, where are we going to be pulling back, right? The only kind of gap I see, again, guys, I'm not really good with imbalances yet, but the only one that I see is here, and the market already tapped it, and that is why we had this massive push. And right now on the daily, I pretty much see nothing. Okay, so where is it going? Where is it just gonna be pulling back? Like if I take an overall range like this, that could be a 50%. So maybe it's pulling back towards that demand right there. But of course, if it's not clear on the daily, then of course you drop on the 4H. So let's see if the 4-hourly time frame is gonna offer some more insights. And yes, as you can see, like similar to the Dixie, as we said, if the Dixie is long, we look for shorts on the other pairs. And yes, we had this massive violent break of structure lower after the liquidation right there, and there was a beautiful short on Thursday that I missed, but I pretty much took the long into that liquidity area, but it was not on EU, it was on GU, because EU did not provide an entry. And I'm becoming a little bit more fluid with with my pairs and with my analysis, right? Not getting so much fixated. So this is a very good supply. It's not amazing, right? But it's pretty much a valid lower high, massive dump lower. Right now we're pulling back, okay? So pretty much you can draw your range like that, and you can draw your range like this, okay? So 50% like that is almost being tapped, right? Potentially filling like this empty space, let's say. So once again, if I start seeing the market pulling back into 50% or higher, I would be looking for it to align bearish in a lower time frame and then start attacking these lows right there. But what I also see is I had this overall target, like as this short was taken, my overall target was down there. Because on the 4-hourly time frame, if you look carefully, this is the only empty space that is left. There is one right there, but that was actually pulled back into here, pulled back into, that is the only one. So also on the back of my mind, I am also getting ready for longs. Okay, so slightly bit tricky right now, and the trickiness is within this recent breakdown lower. But as I keep telling you, like in other outlooks, sometimes the market keeps pushing up, but there is a time in which it's gonna come in and grab liquidity by making a trend change. But again, as I told you, a real trend is confirmed after 2 lows are made. So it looks something like this, right? So first low, lower high, lower low. And then oftentimes this happens. So then what this becomes in hindsight, it becomes a liquidity gap for the market to continue going higher. Okay, so let's see if that's a liquidity gap on the daily for us to start heading higher, or if it's really like a continuous break to the downside so we can start looking for shorts. Again, let's wait for Monday. Let's see what happens. Personally, I am 50-50. I usually don't like throwing like a bias. I'm definitely bearish on this pair. It's gonna go down. That is the wrong language. So what I say, there's my analysis. It's bearish on the 4H. Daily time frame definitely looks like it's pretty balanced right now. So we can start also expecting the longs with the overall macro bias, which we have been forecasting since the market top right here. And of course, our final target will be like 1.11. So let's see how EU is going to go next week. Well, the JPYs are probably going to be tricky to analyze again because they are just pumping. Like you can see last week, it was a Marubozu candle, almost no wick to the downside, pretty much very little wick on the upside. And this week we just opened, created the weekly low with this week, and we continue pushing into the highs. Again, I'm not gonna go to 2008 to spot like any supply and demand levels or anything like this. I just keep flowing with the market. Again, most recent demand zone, the market is massively pushing on the weekly at a higher high. The daily time frame created that little pullback. Like, is it a valid higher low? Well, not really according to me, right? But the market, you can see on Friday came in, boop, very quickly retested it. Okay, and then let's see how the 4-hourly time frame is looking like, if we really have any sort of shifts. Well, this one I really wouldn't count as a valid higher low formation, right? This one neither. So pretty much I would say we have the same 4-hourly range as we have the same daily range. So technically we could be expecting this high to be taken as a weak high, and then of course from there we have to see what is going to happen. So pretty much, guys, I think on the euro, sorry, on the JPY pairs, it's all about like the intraday, because if you're bullish, you just look like for longs during the day. This day right there, we probably got some news on Friday. Yeah, there were quite some news on Friday, shook the market, pulled back in below discount, and then you can see immediately, boom, 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 starts recovering and came all the way up towards like this 50-minute high, which is pretty much the trend change area. So right now, pretty much coming into next week, it's absolutely not a great trading opportunity, because we tapped into discount, we're massively reacting from it. I wouldn't really take a short from here, so I would expect a breakout, take out the high, and then maybe, is it possible next week to be bearish? Could be, right? Because imagine taking out that high right there and then maybe starting to initiate a little bit lower. But of course, we can continue pumping into the highs, because if you also explore like imbalances, there was one right there filled, there was one right there that was just filled as well. So I would expect for the market to continue pumping up. So if you get a long trade on the JPYs, then definitely long it with confidence, because we have been pushing up for quite a while. Is it gonna stop at some time? Yes, but it's gonna need some news or something else to happen. So bullish bias on Euro JPY, not a very clear opportunity. It can either continue pushing up and then you can follow the ranges, or if it starts like pulling back into supply, then look for a new alignment and then of course try to trade it. So that's Euro Yen. Let me know if you took any trades on this pair. All right, let's look at the Aussies. So starting with Aussie dollar, what we can immediately see on the weekly time frame is that there is a massive bearish engulfing candle. Okay, so that makes things very hard, Because again, as we know, like the market aligned bearish on the weekly here, then it broke structure there, then it broke structure here. Okay, so right now we were technically bullish, thinking that the market is gonna go run into the highs, and right now we have this massive bearish week. This massive bearish week is coming into imbalance, of course, and you can see it's perfectly filled. Again, 50%. I've heard that 50% is pretty much the optimal level for those gaps to be fulfilled. We're tapping inside, and we're also tapping into 50% precisely. So, is it going to reverse next week? Is it going to continue going lower? Well, of course, looking at the weekly with this last bullish shift, very nice, convincing body close above, but then this bearish candle kind of makes me worry, but of course, let's see. You can see, of course, on the daily, like we had a macro range, manipulated below the range, initiated outside. So hopefully right now the market is coming in to take some liquidity to rebalance a little bit, and then hopefully we can see some upside movement. So on the daily time frame, there is nothing much to extract. We're pulling back inside this weekly gap. We're in a 50% of the weekly. Pretty much the weekly range is the same as the daily range, because again, the weekly low to the weekly high is exactly the same as the daily low to the daily high. Exactly the same thing. There is a bearish candle right there, but it's not really a higher low, this one. So we're pulling back into 50% overall. So right now the key time frame will be the Forex, because probably the 4 hourly is definitely like bearish. You can see like up, beautiful. And then as the market aligns lower, what I always tell you is that all the old demand levels, they're going to become liquidity. So again, took out the low, took out the low, took out the low, took out this low. Like this one is the one that is left, but this one is kind of just below the 50%. So could it be that this demand zone is going to respond? We don't know. What I am personally looking for is for a 4 hourly bullish trend change. Here we had like a little bit of trickery, broke down, boom, came in, broke up. But look at the break. Like what I started observing right now with breaks is that, again, you asked me a lot, guys, do you take wicks as breaks? Well, yes, I do. But from very recently, I started actually observing that if it breaks like this, I mean, if it breaks with 2 wicks higher, then definitely could be a break. But like here, wicked up, inside bar, then wicked up, but then a massive bearish engulfing candle. So what that tells me is that, well, yeah, there is no strength really. The market is not buying above this level, because if it was buying, usually you're going to see the market continue in this direction. But no, the market just massively went lower. And then, of course, what you can see happening is, for example, people like me that take wicks as breaks. There we go. Demand level, reacted, failed to break. Then this becomes weak. Came in, took the liquidity, reacted. And then you can see it just flipped to the downside, caused the trend change down. And of course, introducing a supply. So you can see you could have tried to take a couple of longs right there on the 15-minute. Like came in here, pushed up, came in here. So maybe right there, but no, that is not trading hour. So pretty much you don't take any longs at all. I mean, the Aussie dollar for me, I used to look at it, but I don't look at it at all right now, because I just don't stopped resonating with it pretty much, especially like on the 50-minute time frames. It doesn't work good with London, I believe, this pair. So right now we are at 50%. The 4 hourly time frame is extended to the downside. Few things could happen, of course. We can initiate like a pullback, come in to fill in that gap and maybe get a short trade, something like this, or we can right now create a new lower low, then trend change up, and then we can start flowing with that macro weekly and bullish, macro weekly and daily bullish time frames. Okay, so that's my Aussie. Okay, at a lower low, those are my 2 scenarios. If it starts bullish, take a short. If it starts bearish, look for a 4 hourly trend change, and then look for it to align bullish, and then of course start targeting all of these levels to the upside. So that's the Aussie. Aussie yen, I would expect this one to be okay. It's not. I was gonna say bullish, but it's not. Like so far only euro yen was bullish. This one also initiated a very nice push to the downside on the weekly. Let's just say that this is our weekly low, weekly high. There is a very nice weekly imbalance to be filled right there, just below the 50%. So this is maybe where we're headed, because yeah, once again on the daily, that's the daily low. That's the daily high, right? Pretty much the same as the weekly once again. And right now the market is potentially looking to rebalance a little bit into the low. So immediately knowing this, we can say, well, bias is overall bearish. So we can look for the market to pull us back. 4 hourly time frame, it's probably shifted bearish, right? You can see here we have an MSS formation. If you trade MSS, this is going to be your break. I mean, market structure shift, right? Push, higher low, failure to push higher, and then break of that higher low. not really anything valid so far, but yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna accept this market as bearish. It's not perfect, but again, we have this higher low, we have this higher low, so definitely it broke. It then initiated a pullback, and you can see like this being the major high, this being the major low, pulls back into 50%. There was that little gap right there. Where does the market go? Fills the gap, and then it just dumps, right? Just dumps, goes on, creates a new, oops, wrong line. Creates a new lower low. What caused that break of the lower low? It's here to here, already 50% and already towards filling in the gap. So pretty much what I'm going to say on Aussie yen, bearish bias. Hopefully we push a little bit into market open to fulfill that little imbalance right there. And then of course we can start heading into the lows, and pretty much you can have some big targets. I mean, that is going to be very optimistic to target all the way down to the 50%, because we pretty much never know. The market could decide to stop from here and reverse, okay? But currently I see very nice bearish order flow. I see like supplies being respected and imbalances being respected as well. So this is pretty much what I'm going to be looking for. So let's wait for it, right? The market opens, Asian range, manipulate it into that higher time frame imbalance, and then of course for us to go down. So bearish bias on AJ, and also AU depends. If, as I said, pushes up, then bearish. If it pushes down, then of course be careful and start looking for the longs. So let's see how those work. Let me know, guys, what you think about the Aussies. So what we have seen so far is that the NZD is actually more bearish than the Aussie. It has been giving us those bearish signs, like since it came in once again, and observing like the break that we discussed on the Aussie. Like look at that weekly break right there, wicked with a massive bearish engulfing candle. Okay, so from there on you can maybe start forecasting that this might not be a very strong break. Broke down, then here you can see we broke, closed below with conviction, then stayed below, right? And then we initiated a pullback. So this is to me a little bit more convincing that this market can actually go down. But what we also explored last week is that it came in towards filling in that imbalance, and of course we can continue with that probably quarterly push or a monthly push. If I just go to the 1 month, yeah, I mean this 1 month again, like it could have caused the structure break, so it's a little bit 50-50. You can look at it in different ways, but currently it's rejecting from this weekly supply. So then let's transfer on the daily time frame. I will also say daily is still bearish. I mean, between this high and this low right here we have like a little breakup, but I do believe this is more like a 4-hourly shift, not really a daily shift. So according to me, the daily is still between this high and this low, pulls back, and you can see we start kind of pushing down a little bit. So I get a more bearish vibe on the NZD. And then of course, yeah, on the 4-hourly time frame, we got the trend change. You can take longs and longs and longs and longs, driving into that daily supply. The last 4-hourly break was here. The 4-hourly trend change is down there. Why I keep taking the wrong lines. There is a 4-hourly trend change, right? So you can see in this case kind of wicked below, again wicked below, but at least it threw like 2 wicks that made the lower low. But then what was the valid lower high that caused it? It was this. So we immediately came in, broke it up. Then what caused this break? It was this. Then immediately came in and broke this down. So you can see in terms of structure, in terms of 4-hourly structure, absolutely confusing. Broke down, broke up, broke down again. So yeah, I mean, we just keep following the flow. What is the last valid lower high? It's pretty much that high to this low. This one is a very nice supply zone that you can trade, but not a valid lower high according to me. You keep asking me questions about my lower highs. Well, that is something very personal. I only share it in my program because I only want to be trading similar with the community, of course, that I'm coaching. So again, do your own research, or yeah. So pushing down, pulling back right now, 50% is right there. So of course, similar to like the Aussie, if the market pulls back above 50, and then we can look for a short, or if the market like dips, then of course we flow with the new valid ranges and maybe look for a short, or of course look for a trend change and bullish alignment. Although unlike the Aussie, the NZD is definitely giving me more of a bearish vibe, right? So of course I will be focusing more on shorts. Looking at like imbalances, there is a little one right there that the market could look to get filled. So let's see if this one gets filled and if we can get a short. So more short bias on the NZD, but again, you know, I don't like throwing biases, but this is pretty much my analysis. NZD yen bearish candle. Not very bearish though, it has a massive wick on the downside. This also created like a gap right there right now on the weekly time frame that we can potentially be looking to fulfill. The daily time frame as well definitely needs some sort of a pullback, because that's the range. There is a gap below here, there is a gap below here. The market it just took out that daily high on Friday and then massively rejected. So if it rejects like this, that can immediately be our liquidity, because if this one rejects and actually fails to really close above that daily high, then we can of course expect that the market can take out this daily low. So if the hourly time frame has shifted down, well, that is not really a shift. That is not really a shift. So that's tough market. It broke up. What caused the break? So I mean, if you're not really looking for rules, then of course you can say that this is your break. To me, not even this one, to be like this is the hourly break, which again, it's something that doesn't make sense, and I think we found it on another pair. So let's just say that this is a break, right? So what I'm looking for into the beginning of the week is how the market is going to respect from precisely this zone, because this is the zone. This is the kind of the supply that took out that liquidity on the left, that daily high right there. So let's just actually mark it with a let's mark it with a bold line like this. So that is what took that liquidity, and you can see after that liquidity we had a massive impulse outside, creating that little imbalance right there. So the market filled it. So again, coming into next week, let's see how the 50 minutes is gonna go. Hopefully like a nice Asian range, take it out, TC down, and then of course we can continue going down like this. So overall, I'm having a bearish outlook on the NZDs, and again, thinking ahead in time, if this fails to like for the market to push above this low zone and starts trending down, then of course the hard time frame target will be this low, because if this low really failed to kind of push up, then of course it can become liquidity. So let's see, having a more bearish vibe on the NZD, which also resonates like with that bullish DXY bias we had at the beginning, because remember what I told you, if you have a bullish bias on the Dixie, we're looking for a bearish bias on everything else, which is so far the case. So I guess we have some confluences. So looking at USDN, it just keeps ripping and continuing its push to the upside. Looks like we have a very strong USD against the yen. So what we can immediately see again is, just to recap, that we're having a weekly break right there, and just right now we have like this kind of little base that is definitely a very strong demand, right? Is it a valid weekly higher low formation? Again, I don't have rules for it, but where I potentially think the market is going right now is towards filling that big empty space. You can see here we came in for a second and then we left, but again, as I know so far, I'm still studying, I'm still backtesting and observing like these sort of imbalances. They tend to get filled like to the 50%, and you can see just right now we crossed that 50% line. So of course we can continue pushing a little bit higher, but yeah. So daily time frame, it's also pretty bullish right now. Again, we had like Monday start a little bit choppy, Tuesday pulling back, Wednesday initiating a little push, and then we had like the speeches, massive continuation, and a continuation for a Friday as well. So again, being at a high right now, the market is pretty much, yeah, you can see there is also this one. So if you refine this one, just let's check it out. This tool is pretty tough to use. So if I just take like this, boom, boom, boom. Come on. There it is, right? So you can see we took that weekly big gap. We made it on the daily and perfectly 50% response right there. And right now we can start expecting a little pullback. Well, of course, let's not try to get way too much ahead. So of course, how are we going to be knowing that the market is going to be reversing? Is if we have like a 4-hourly trend change, which is usually what I want to see, okay? Because currently we have that demand zone. If the market comes in, it can definitely continue pushing higher, but if we get like a trend change, then of course the market can start pushing lower and pushes all the way down into that big daily / weekly zone. Okay, so when it comes to like daily, I don't see like any gaps apart from one, which is exactly right there. So the market can come in to fill this one, tap inside this daily zone and still go. Okay, because what we see so far is that like the bias on USD yen is just bullish. Okay, so it doesn't make sense for us to start trying to catch the top. What makes sense for us is to potentially expect the pullback, and when that pullback occurs, then it's time to go long and go with the flow. Okay, so let's see how this one works out. Let's see if the market is going to respect from this one or come in, grab some liquidity below this low, and then potentially start impulsing into the highs. Okay, so very bullish bias on USD yen. However, as you can see, struggling to kind of forecast and see how the market could look like. But of course, if you just solely focus on structure, that's your last higher low formation. If it pulls back, if it gives you the entry, you can definitely expect to push higher. But of course, you can expect the liquidity grab, fill in that imbalance, tap inside the daily zone, and then if you get a new hourly trend change, then you can expect for the market to continue higher. So bullish bias on USDN, which also resonates with the bullish bias on the Dixie. So let's see how it goes. What we can observe on UCAT right now on the weekly time frame is a little bit of a slowdown, because if you remember last week we came in and we smashed this very big liquidity area. So this low has been a low that failed to break the respective high once, 2 times, 3 times. So right now it just got taken and the market is tapping into that little demand zone right there on the weekly. So as I said, we can start expecting a potential reversal, but it's gonna take time. It's not just gonna tap and reverse. It's gonna cook a little bit. It's gonna align on the 4H. It's gonna align on the daily. And as you can see so far on the daily, we have a break and we have a daily lower high. So the market is pretty much bearish so far. Dropping on the 4-hourly time frame, it's pretty much the same, I would say. Here, yep, here we don't have any valid ranges. The market broke down, it pulls back. The pretty much the range is exactly the same as it is on the daily, right? So the market came in right here and it's currently responding. So can we have another lower low and then maybe then start looking for the reversal? I definitely do think so. So the question is, are we gonna short from here straight into the downside, or are we gonna pull back a little bit, grab some more liquidity, align bearish, and then make the push down? So of course that's a good question. You can see the market run into the highs, chop, pushed up, TC down, break lower, lower high, lower low. So it's already having like a little bearish trend going on, but of course it really depends on how it's gonna open and how the liquidity play is gonna look like. So that is UCAT so far. Again, keeping in mind we're entering into a massive level of demand. So let's see, right? But I have a bearish bias so far, but on the back of my mind, if I was trading UCAT, I would also be prepping for longs. And I do believe we also had some CAD news next week. So it could be a catalyst for us to maybe reverse higher, because you can also see that the Dixie is getting a little bit of a bullish vibe. So maybe UCAT could follow. So guys, let me know what you're looking for UCAT. Personally, I'm just looking for shorts. I do believe this low could also get attacked because we're in a beautiful bearish market right now. So let's see. Next on the list are the pound pairs, starting from GU. Bearish week overall, also an inside bar. You can see the previous weekly high wasn't really taken. So inside bar, which is always a good thing. This inside bar also created a little gap right there. So can we expect for the market to fulfill the gap, tap us into the weekly 50% and then expand higher? Definitely could be possible. So we can frame like a little bit of a bearish bias. Like the question is, are we gonna pull back more than this, right? Because what I saw on the daily is that the only gap that was there on the daily was this, and it got filled, but you can see the market is failing to respond from it, and it looks like we want to continue pushing down. Like we had some news this week on the pound as well, and we pretty much had like an up and down move, so not amazing. But yeah, then dropping on the 4-hourly time frame, we can pretty much see it, right? According to me, so what is kind of giving me a little bit of a indecision is that according to me, okay, that is the 4-hourly low and that is the 4-hourly high, okay, and so far we're still trading within this range right there. The market pulled back below 50%, it tried to push, it failed, pulls back again, it tries to push here with that wick, it failed, then it comes in again, breaks structure lower, but all of this is internal, which really makes me not like how the pound is looking like right now. So again, considering the weekly, knowing that the weekly 50% is here, can we make a further push down, coming all the way down right there inside this very big sell to buy area? Absolutely possible. Okay, but of course I'm personally only gonna know this as we go into the week and as we see how the vibe is actually looking like. So that is my analysis so far. As I keep saying, I don't like it, and I do feel like we could potentially break down right here, because that demand zone, you can see we haven't really tapped into that whole sell to buy area. Usually, like if you take the whole sell to buy, you're going to be looking like for 25 to 50% tap. Neither of those levels are tapped. So again, if we get inside the zone and then if we start reversing like on a 50-minute time frame, then of course I can start looking for the longs. But so far I will withstand from saying that I am bullish on the pound, because I see that a lot of bearishness is going on. But I also want you to compare this move, right, compared to what we have overall so far, right? You can see that the bullish move is much stronger than what we have on the bearish side. So again, overall bullish bias, but let's see how it's gonna play out. Personally, took 2 trades on the pounds just based on like my overall bullish bias and the overall kind of Asian liquidity. The first trade was taken on Thursday. And what did I take on Wednesday? Was it the S&P loss? I don't really recall anymore. So I can see here, for example, we had a push. Again, if I just looked on the 40 time frame, there was a tap inside this sell to buy zone. The market came in, grabbed the liquidity below Asia. And then, of course, for this one, I used a 5-minute trend change. 5-minute trend change after the manipulation. We also had one more range, manipulated lower, 5-minute TC, retest of the zone, right? And then technically, I first took a 30% partial at this one, 80% partial at this one, and full TP at this high right there. But again, this was just very little left. It wasn't like a very big position towards this high. So that was my second trade of the week. I took like a little loss on SPX from my phone, which was definitely not nice. And yeah, then pretty much it started getting fun. And on Friday, I also took a very nasty loss. Again, the same idea. Tapping inside, almost inside the zone, Asian range. We took out the Asian low, right? Aligned bullish on the 5-minute, came into retest, reacted, but then there was news, so I made a mistake to trade during the news. And I actually got swept right there, and I got a little bit of a slippage right there. So instead of losing like 0.25, because that's what I risked on my live account, I lost like 0.38, which was not great. Excuse my dogs outside. So yeah. Liquidated, then it came in, retested again, and then you can see it started chopping pretty much. So it was a choppy day on Friday. So that's pretty much my 2 trades on GU. That one was pretty nice. That one slipped, which was not nice, but of course, expected that we can have that sweep. So of course, I accepted the risk. So that's the pound pairs. Let's see how they go. Oh, well, that's not the pound pairs, that's GU. Let's have a look at GJ. On the weekly time frame, it continues to push very nicely. Okay, so what we're making right now is a very nice imbalance area, dropping onto the daily. It keeps breaking on the daily into the highs. It forms a daily demand, right? So can we come back to retest and continue higher? Definitely possible. And on the hourly time frame right now, it's sitting at a massive high. So every time frame is at a massive high, which is usually not good because you can start expecting like a pullback. So of course that, for example, is your FOH, that is your daily, right? So of course, if you get like a daily TC, then you're gonna be getting into a daily zone. But you can see like the overall, there is not really any strength exiting from here. So I just believe if we get a 4-hourly trend change, then we can start pushing more into that weekly imbalance. So of course, let's see. But when it comes to GJ, I am going to be more patient and really waiting to see what's going to happen. But of course, as I said, so far it's bullish, massively bullish. So if you get any pullback and any 15-minute setups between this 4-hourly demand zone, then go for it. But if you get a trend change, then be careful, because if you get a trend change, this level looks pretty weak according to me. So for example, like this level and pretty much all of those levels can become liquidity for the market to come back and pull us back a little bit on the weekly time frame, because the weekly time frame is rather imposing into the highs. So there is gonna come a time in which it has to stop. Okay, so that's the pound pairs. That's GJ, more bullish. GU is a little bit 50-50 so far. Again, as I told you, on the macro bias, it is bullish. Okay, but the question is, where is it gonna long from? Is it gonna come inside this demand and go long, or is it gonna like dip even deeper and go long? I don't know. So of course, let's see how the week opens and how we can flow with the markets. So having a look at gold, we are overall having a bearish week. And again, I just keep my analysis here because I don't want to lose track of it, because gold is just an instrument I like following just out of curiosity. I don't really trade gold, right? We have a very big imbalance right there that the market is currently coming in to fill, right? And as we get closer to the 50% of that fill, then of course we can start looking for the longs, right? And if I take this overall range, you can see that we're dipping below 50%. So we start having a lot more confidences for the market to become bullish. As you can see on the daily time frame though, I mean, no, this is the FOH. Daily time frame is still bearish. So if I just remove all of that stuff, we're gonna do it again. There is a daily break and of course daily high, daily low. So we're still definitely bearish on the daily. And then of course you can see on the 4-hourly time frame, the last 4-hourly break of structure was down there. Then that is the lower high, and we almost had like a 4-hourly break up. So I personally think gold hasn't been amazing so far. You can see like we have this overall massive range right there. So could that be like a macro manipulation into the lows, like into that imbalance? Again, I don't know, but of course what I always do is I just follow the 4-hourly time frame and the daily. So the daily is bearish, the 4-hourly is still bearish, like this is the very last supply on the 4H. But of course, like the big question is it ready to go up? Is it possible we create another daily pullback, push down, and then maybe start shifting? Absolutely possible, because what I see right there on the daily credit is a little bit of a imbalance right there. Which is also above the 50%. So that is a very good area for potential shorts that can drive us deeper into that weekly imbalance, right? And then from there, we can start looking for the market to continue pushing higher, okay? So structure is definitely bearish on the daily. 4-hourly structure is starting to look a little bit funky, right? Drop, but then you can see the comeback was very aggressive, but it still held. Massive rejection, so the 50 minutes is gonna look funny as well. Boom, boom, right? So again, give it some time. When I give it some time, it's just unclear to me. You probably know by now. But yeah, this is what I would expect. We can either, from here, we can either push down and come inside, like filling in that, oh, where did it go? Coming in that, filling in that empty space, and then potentially reversing into the highs with a 4-hourly trend change. Or we can first like give us a pullback on the daily, get a short right into that empty space on the weekly, and then potentially start expecting the longs, okay? With that bullish bias on the Dixie, I would expect a bearish bias on gold. So let me know what you guys think about it. Let's have a look at the indices. So starting from US30, rather confusing markets. I used to trade it a lot. I just got into it, and then since then it kind of got really choppy, really tricky. So I have taken a step back away from it, and I have jumped more into SPX. So what happened last week is we came in and took out that high, wicked, and right now we're having a bearish candle. There is no empty space here on the weekly time frame. We're probably gonna have it on the daily. In order to determine, okay, where it could potentially be going. Okay, so the daily time frame really imposed outside here and created that daily break. So let's just say that's a daily break, right? And then it started rolling up, took out that liquidity, and right now we're starting rolling to the downside, okay? And you can see there is no real imbalance, there is no real strength coming in from here. The only thing that I see is right here, right, which almost got filled in. But that is where we can potentially be going and probably utilize this as potential liquidity. So that is just like the overall daily bias and the daily structure that I see. And then of course, if you jump on the 4-hourly time frame, I mean, intraday is just bad. Like we have a lot of 4-hourly structure breaks. Like I'm not gonna draw them all, but we have a structure break here, structure break here, structure break here, structure break here, and structure break here. But there is not a single intraday setup that I saw according to my strategy, right? So definitely not clean. The last supply is here because the last break is right there, and you can see like we come in, we just keep making lower lows and lower lows. And if I just jump on a 15-minute time frame, not clean. None of the days was clean, so definitely just not trading it. And yeah, I mean, I keep looking for the shorts. I thought this here was going to be a strong level, reacted twice, but it reacted 3 times. But of course, at the end of the day, it took it out. Okay, why? Well, because it's seeking something else. So what I believe it's seeking is potentially for it to come back all the way down here and then maybe reverse from there. So currently what I'm going to see on the US30 is that it's bearish bias. If we come in inside again inside this supply, we can look to short. There's that little imbalance right there that we can look to fill. So if you come in inside this level, first thing, like, you know, when the market opens, then we can of course look for short. So short bias on US30 for now. Nasdaq as well came in, swept this massive liquidity, printing a bearish candle. Can we start like fulfilling the imbalances? Can we start getting like that little bit of a weekly pullback? Well, definitely that could be the case. Okay. First, we need to see the daily really reverse, because the daily has this as a low and that as a high. So currently it's pulling back on the daily. The only empty space I see is this. So that is potentially where we're going. So then if you drop on the 4-hourly time frame, it's probably going to be bearish. Yes, broke up here, TC down right there, break down right here, supply right there, tapped into supply, and right now we're probably headed towards this lower low and towards that imbalance right here. So pretty much, again, starting the week, I would expect shorts. Again, how they happen, is it gonna push up and then go down, or is it just gonna straight go down? I don't know. But then as we fill in that imbalance, as we tap inside that daily zone, then I can potentially start looking for the longs. Why? Well, because the overall Nasdaq bias is longs. We're massively pushing into the highs. Yes, we have a lot of imbalance on the weekly to fulfill, but again, is that gonna happen immediately? maybe not, all right, but of course it could happen. The only weekly one I see is here, which is also within the weekly 50%, but of course looking on the daily, there is a kind of a confusion because that is the daily push and this is the daily 50% and that is the daily imbalance. So this little area right there, everything below the 50% is a very high probability reversal area for Nasdaq, so I wouldn't really be surprised to see longs coming in from these sort of areas right there. So again, watch out for that. S&P, kind of the same, right? It came in, didn't really take any liquidity, but it's starting to retrace back. Again, weekly range is this, but then if you drop to the daily time frame, slightly bit different because the daily range starts from here. The market is pulling back. The only empty space I see is this one. So this is probably where we're headed, okay? And this is of course our daily zone. And on the 4-hourly time frame, it is bearish, right? There is the last structure break. There is the last supply, which we're gonna take like this. Quite a bigger zone, come on. Quite a bigger zone. And it's already kind of rolling to the downside, but it's still trading between this high and this low because all of these candles are like making lower lows. So if we come in, again, similar to what I think we had on US30, we had that little imbalance. If we come in right there, then of course we can target right here. And then from there, if we had a full hourly alignment, then we can look for the longs. Okay, so within all the indices, I am looking for shorts coming into next week because all of them are on a pullback mode and all of them are potentially seeking some sort of liquidity. Like Nasdaq is looking for 50% on the daily and fulfilling that imbalance. US30 not very clean on the daily, like this one has this kind of imbalance to fill in, but it could be like all the rest of the pairs react from here and maybe US30 is gonna follow through because if one of those pairs go, if one of those indices go, usually the rest follow, right? And S&P as well coming in that daily range, which is right there below 50%, fulfilling that only empty space and then looking for a 4-hourly alignment and then going with the flow. So intraday, bearish bias starting the week, but then of course as we push deeper into the week and if we continue going bearish, then of course we can start preparing for the longs. So that's the indices. Let me know in the comments, guys, what is your bias and what do you expect for the upcoming week. Looking at Bitcoin right now, I could say, damn man, I wish I bought at 16k, right? Because it's moving very nicely. It created this massive impulsive leg. I told you guys many times, 25k, we chop, came in 50% on the weekly range, filled in that empty space, and right now we just came in to take out that week high, okay? So right now pretty much everything resets. So right now we have like a new weekly range, that is this massive candle. We have a new daily range, which is this massive push. So right now what we can start expecting is we can of course draw a range like this so far. We can start expecting a pullback and then hopefully we can continue pushing up, okay? So if you are into Bitcoin, again, as I said, like from the lows right there, or maybe from this one, or maybe from that one, of course, you are running really good. I really thought to buy right there. I do have some Bitcoin, but I wish I bought more because I really had trust in that 25k level. Massive reaction right now, all the way towards like 31.315. Right, so let's see if we can pull back a little bit right now, dip below the 50% of this overall leg, right, and then of course continue going higher. Ethereum kind of slacking, but I do believe like Ethereum will potentially follow up with Bitcoin, but of course I'm not a crypto guy, so don't listen to me that much. But again, technicals are showing longs. So with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook and setups. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite pair for next week? What are you looking at? How did you perform this week? Are you happy with your performance? Are you not? Wishing you an incredible weekend if you're watching this during the weekend, and I wish you an incredible week ahead. And stay tuned for my analysis hopefully on Tuesday, although I might be traveling, so I might be missing this time. So take care, trade safe, and talk to you on my next video.